Caffeine is the most widely used and abused drug worldwide, and it has massive potential to improve our performance, reduce our perception of exertion in the gym, and also help with focus. So it can be hugely beneficial in a weight training or physique sports setting. However, it also has some pretty significant side effects. Now, whilst it can reduce the impact of sleep deprivation on a single bout of performance, repeated use of caffeine has been pretty reliably shown, and most people will back this up, to reduce the quality and quantity of your sleep. And one of the reasons this is very hard to measure from individuals and give an individual recommendation on the amount of caffeine you should be using is that the half-life, so the amount of time required to clear out 50% of the amount of that chemical that you have ingested, the half-life of caffeine varies hugely between individuals. Now, for most people it's around the 6-hour mark, but some people may reach that point where they've cleared out 50% within 2 hours. Some people it may take up to 20 hours. So if you're someone with that much slower half-life of caffeine and a reduced ability to break down caffeine, you will find that if you have a 300 milligram pre-workout at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, it's definitely going to disrupt your sleep at 11 p.m. that night, because 275 milligrams may well still be in your system. Okay, so it's like having 5 massive coffees right before you go to bed. So it is definitely worth looking at your individual response to caffeine when determining whether or not it's something that you want to have as a consistent part of your routine. Now, it does offer us, obviously, like I discussed earlier, some pretty significant benefits, and there are things you can do to offset its negative side effects. Okay? The first thing to understand is how caffeine works. Caffeine is a stimulant, and it binds to receptors that usually accept adenosine. Now, adenosine is in your brain used to improve or increase sleep pressure. So it basically prompts you to go to bed. Okay? Now, caffeine binds to these receptors and stops adenosine acting upon those receptors and therefore giving that sleep pressure effect. Now, the issue here is that caffeine tolerance increases very, very quickly. And with the effect that it has on suppressing sleep, you will find that your ability to clear out those adenosine receptors, or the amount of adenosine receptors that are cleared each night, is reduced over time. And therefore, you need more and more caffeine in order to get a smaller and smaller response, because so many of those adenosine receptors are already clogged, and therefore caffeine, however much caffeine you put into your bloodstream, no more can bind to those receptors. So you need to be smart with your use of caffeine. I would suggest, number one, try as much as possible to only use it before you train. Don't have it multiple times throughout the day. Don't have a Monster and 3 cups of coffee and your massive pre-workout and then wonder why you can't sleep. Okay? Understand that a small dose of caffeine will often have the same amount of positive effects as a huge dose of caffeine, but without a lot of the side effects on feeling jittery, anxious, suppressing your sleep. So start very low, and then if you feel you need more, you can always work up. The next thing you can do is make sure that you take tolerance breaks from caffeine. The way I get my clients to do this is during the deload weeks, they will completely get rid of caffeine, which means that when it is then reintroduced in week 1 when we return to hard training, they get a much better response from it and are starting in a truly well-rested state, rather than that stressed out state where they're not getting enough sleep and they're relying on stimulants to get through the day. The final thing that you can do with caffeine is also supplement L-theanine. Now, taken at the same time in a 1-to-1 dose, so 100 milligrams of caffeine, 100 milligrams of L-theanine, this can reduce the side effects you get at the time, so the jitteriness, the anxiousness, that, it can really reduce that. And what it can also do is if you take it pre-bed, about 300 milligrams, it can also help you sleep. So that is a supplement well worth looking at if you're someone that is not going to get rid of all the caffeinated beverages in your life.